In 1999, in a sealed research facility somewhere in Pennsylvania, a privately funded group of scientists embarked on an experiment they claimed would prove or disprove the existence of a higher power. Dr. Marcus Ells, the project's leader, believed that human senses clouded our perception of true reality, keeping us from making direct contact with the divine. His theory was simple and chilling. If a person were stripped of all sensory input, their mind, freed from earthly distractions, could finally hear what lay on the other side. The volunteer came quickly, 46-year-old Walter Green, a homeless veteran with nothing left to lose. "I've seen enough of this world," he said. "I'll try yours." The operation lasted 8 hours. Surgeons severed and isolated every nerve connected to hearing, sight, taste, smell, and touch. Walter retained full motor control. He could walk, speak, move, but he could no longer perceive the outside world in any way. They placed him in a soundproof padded chamber, monitoring him constantly. At first, Walter mumbled incoherently, unaware of his own voice. On the 4th day, he suddenly spoke clearly. "There's someone here." The scientists exchanged glances, assuming it was a side effect of sensory deprivation. By the 6th day, he whispered about hearing a voice, deep, heavy, like the hum of the earth itself. The voice gave a name, but Walter refused to repeat it. All he said was, "It's not God." After a week, the atmosphere in the chamber became dangerous. Walter claimed it was showing him visions, rivers of blood, cities burning, faces screaming in endless night. Sometimes he shook with terror. Other times he laughed in a way that made even the most skeptical researchers go pale. On the 9th day, the cameras caught him lifting his arms and speaking in a language no one recognized, a guttural, resonant growl that made the audio feed crackle. On the 10th day, he stopped sleeping entirely. His lips moved constantly, as though he was in a never-ending conversation. Just after midnight on the 12th day, the camera feed cut out. Security guard Michael Rogers entered the chamber to check the equipment. Walter stood in the far corner, perfectly still. "Walter?" Michael stepped closer. In an instant, Walter lunged with inhuman speed, wrapping his hands around the guard's neck. Later, the coroner would say the force was so great that the cartilage in the man's throat shattered like dry twigs. The cameras flickered back to life just as Walter left the room, turning to smile at the lens, a calm, cold smile. He vanished into the night. The facility went into full lockdown, but no trace of him was ever found. The project was shut down, records destroyed. Survivors signed silence agreements. But the story didn't end there. Starting in 2003, bodies began appearing across Pennsylvania, each one with a broken neck, no other injuries, and no witnesses. The deaths were years apart. 2003, a hunter found in the woods near Riverstown. 2008, a fisherman dead on the banks of the Susquehanna. 2014, a teenage hiker who never made it home. 2019, a night watchman at an abandoned warehouse. The locations were hundreds of miles apart, but the pattern was identical. While digging through old case files, I noticed the chain of similarities. The signature was too exact to be coincidence. I contacted one of the surviving scientists from the Silence Project. The moment I mentioned Walter Green's name, he hung up, but not before whispering as if someone was listening on his end. If he was talking to God, then God wasn't who we thought he was. The most recent body was found last winter in the woods outside the small town of Mill Creek. Middle-aged male, neck crushed with brutal precision, no footprints in the snow. Locals say that sometimes on empty back roads or in dark alleys, you can see a man in a worn jacket moving slowly, like he's listening to something only he can hear. He doesn't speak, not yet.